let's continue setting our extremes. So now about to move on to the next pose where the character has his hands planted onto the crate. But first thing, let's go ahead and select his RMK controls. And what we want to do is go to this crate lock channel here, which allows us to constrain our character's hands to this crate. Okay, and that's going to make it much easier for us to have the hands move along with the crate by just selecting and moving around the crate once we set in that value to make them do so. But what we want to do here is just key the crate lock channels on both RMK controls. So now they're keyed on frame 0, and the reason why we would want to do it on frame 20 is just so that they won't start moving to where they are locked on the crate until after frame 20. So once we get to frame 30, then we'll have them planted on the crate, and this is just for timing reasons. Okay, so now that we have our hands keyed with the value of 0, we can now go to frame 30 and put in a value of 10 for the crate lock, and now they are constrained to the crate. So if we select it and hit W and move the crate around, notice how our character's hands are going to move around with the crate. Alright, so again, this is going to be very helpful for us. Let me go ahead and undo those moves though. And now we can work on having the character move in a little bit closer. So let's work on his moving his body in closer, and then we'll move on to his hands. So we can select the center of gravity, his knees, his feet, get those selected, and his elbows. And with all of these selected, we can now go ahead and translate the character forward some. Okay, like that. Then we'll go to his right foot and bring that in a little bit closer in. And the reason why that right foot is not going to step before the left is because there's actually going to be a shuffle when we go from frames 20 to 30 of the feet. So with that shuffle, they're pretty much going to stay in the same position. Okay, just that right foot's going to be a little bit closer in to the left. Won't be that big of a gap. Now we can work on having the center gravity of the character move in closer. So we'll translate that forward and down some. Maybe a little bit more forward. So we get this nice silhouette with the legs. Alright, great. And then we could go to the back control and start rotating that back. Remember, here is now when the character is going to have a backward C line of action. Okay, so we'll work on that. Not too extreme, but just enough where we can still exaggerate it enough where we can really clearly see that backward C as we're getting right now. Alright, then we could go to the center of gravity and just rotate the character forward a little bit more here. Okay, so with that now done, we can go ahead and work on having the hands moving closer to the crate. So let's first go to the wrist. We'll go to the rotate Y and put in a value of 180 here, so just so that the wrist will be pointed upward. Okay, and then we'll go to the RMK control and move that forward so we can see where the head or the palm of the hand will be planted onto the crate there. Then we'll bring it in a little bit closer to the center of the character's body with the X, then down a little bit more so that it's positioned right at about chest level, a little bit right about the chest, a little bit lower where the control is. Okay, awesome. Then we could go to this control, go to the fist section and put in a value of 0 there, and once we do, we'll get more of a top view. We'll go to the top and let's have the hand now rotate a little bit closer into the crate so that it's planted. Better? Okay, so now we have that right hand planted, and we can go to the right shoulder, and that's going to come back based off of how the body's positioned right now. So we'll make sure that comes back and up as well, again for how everything's positioned as far as the character's body and where the hand is planted. Okay, we'll do the same thing for the left shoulder. We can work on that left shoulder, just bringing that up. So it's just going to be similar to the right, not up as much. So we have it now. Okay, there we go. It's a bit better. Maybe back in the X a little bit there too. Okay, and now we could go ahead and have the RMK move forward. We'll go to the wrist, put in a value this time of negative 180. Bring that wrist up. Go back to the control just to have that the palm planted on the crate. Then we'll bring it down just like what we did with the right and in. Now we could go to the wrist channel, go to the fist channel, put in the value of 0, go to more of a top view, just go to the rotate Y and rotate that wrist in some so that the hand is planted. Excellent. Okay, so our pose is really coming along. We're getting a nice push pose. Let's see, let's have the elbows move in some so they're in a better pose, more comfortable pose. Great. So it's really coming along. As far as the head now, what we're going to do here is rotate the neck forward, in, like that. And then for the head, he's not going to be looking at the crate dead on as he is right now. He's actually going to rotate his head a little bit more out. Okay, so let's have him rotate face to the camera, face towards us, but not too much, about right here. And then also down in the X. Great. And then we'll go to more of a back view and adjust his Z. So that's pointed a little bit more to his right to fix that pose. Great. So these things done, we'll go ahead and check our poses, or this pose, to see how it's looking, and even scrub back and forth. And here we can see, if we look at the line of action in the back, we can see, alright, there's our C curve. And then when we scrub, there is our backward C. So it's looking pretty good right now. Great. So with these things now done, we have completed our next pose, and we've also finished up this lesson. And in the next lesson, again, we'll just continue posing out our character. We're just about done. We only have a few more to go, so we can now go ahead and move on to that next lesson where we'll continue this process.